A catena is a form of biblical commentary, verse by verse, made up entirely of excerpts from earlier biblical commentators, each introduced with the name of the author, and with such minor adjustments of words to allow the whole to form a continuous commentary. The texts are mainly compiled from mainstream authors, but they often contain fragments of certain patristic writings now otherwise lost. It has been asserted by Faulhaber that half of all the commentaries on Scripture composed by the Church Fathers are now extant only in this form. History. The earliest Greek catena is ascribed to Procopius of Gaza, in the first part of the 6th century. Between the 7th and the 10th centuries, Andreas Presbyter and Johannes Strungarius of the compilers of Catenas to various books of Scripture. Towards the end of the 11th century, Nicetas of Heraclea produces a great number of Catenae, both before and after. However, the makers of Catenae were numerous in the Greek Orient, mostly anonymous, and offering no other indication of the personality than the manuscripts of their excerpts. Similar compilations were also made in the Syriac and Coptic churches. In the West, Primasius of Adrammelum in the former Roman province of Africa in the 6th century compiled the first catena from Latin commentators. He was imitated by Rabanus Maurus, Pascasius Radbertus, and Walafrid Strabo, later by Remigius of Auxerre, and by Lanfranc of Canterbury. The Western Catenae have had less importance attached to them. The most famous of the medieval Latin compilations of this kind is that of Thomas Aquinas, generally known as the Catena Aurea, and containing excerpts from some 80 Greek and Latin commentators on the Gospels. Thomas composed the parts of his Catena Aurea treating the Gospels of Mark, Luke, and John, while directing the Roman studium of the Dominican order at the convent of Santa Sabina, the forerunner of the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas, Angelicum. Similar collections of Greek patristic utterances were constructed for dogmatic purposes. They were used at the Council of Chalcedon in 451, at the Fifth General Council in 553, also apropos of iconoclasm in the Seventh General Council in 787, and among the Greeks such compilations, like the exegetical Catenae, did not cease until late in the Middle Ages. The oldest of these dogmatic compilations, attributed to the latter part of the 7th century, is the Antiquorum Patrum Doctrina de Verbi Incarnatione. Finally, in response to homiletic and practical needs, there appeared, previous to the 10th century, a number of collections of moral sentences and paranetic fragments, partly from Scripture and partly from the more famous ecclesiastical writers. Sometimes one writer furnishes the material. Such collections are not so numerous as the scriptural or even the dogmatic Catenae. They seem all to depend on an ancient Christian florilegium of the 6th century that treated in 3 books of God, man, the virtues and vices, and was known as Tau Alpha Iota Epsilon Rho Alpha. Before long its material was recast in strict alphabetical order, took the name of Tau Alpha Iota Epsilon Rho Alpha Parallela, Sacra Parallela, and was attributed widely to John Damascene, whose authority was defended by K. Hall in the above-mentioned Fragmente Vornicanische Kirchenväter, though the Damascene probably based his work on the Capita Theologica of Maximus Confessor. The text of these ancient compilations is often in a dubious state, and the authors of most of them are unknown. One of the principal difficulties in the use is the uncertainty concerning the correctness of the names to which the excerpts are attributed, the carelessness of copyists, the use of sigla contractions for proper names, and the frequency of transcription, led naturally to much confusion. Printed editions For the 16th century to the 19th, various Catenas were published. However, no modern editions exist, and there are severe textual problems in editing them. Among the editors of Greek Catenae was the Jesuit Balthasar Cordia, who published collections of Greek patristic commentaries on St. John and St. Luke, and, in conjunction with his confrere Poussin, on St. Matthew. The latter scholar edited also similar collections of patristic excerpts on St. Mark and Job. The voluminous Catenae known as Biblia Magna and Biblia Maxima, edited by J. de la Haye, were followed by the 9 volumes of Critici Sacri, Sive Clarissorum Virorum Annotations atque Tractatus in Biblia, containing selections, not only from Catholic but also from Protestant commentators. An important collection of the Greek Catenae on the New Testament is that of J. A. Kramer, online at archive.org. See also 28 volumes of the Mini Commentary in his Scripturi Sacrae Cursus Completus. For the Byzantine collections of ethical sentences and proverbs of partly from Christian and partly from pagan sources, see Barker, pp. 600-4. Also Elter e de Nomologiorum Graecorum Historia atque Origine, on